I never thought I'd wake up in my brother's body, staring at the mirror in our childhood bathroom, his smug jawline mocking me back while my screams echoed silent in a throat that wasn't mine. The night before, I'd confronted him about the drained account, our shared savings. He called it the one he'd siphoned dry to fund his crooked empire, and in a haze of rage and desperation, I'd wished for his life, his power, anything to make him feel the knife twist I'd endured for years. But wishes don't come cheap in this godforsaken city. Some back-alley shaman in Little Village peddled more than herbs that night. And by dawn, the swap was real, irrevocable, a cosmic fuck you from the universe that left me trapped in Ethan's skin, plotting for me inside out. It started with the betrayal that hollowed me out like a gutted fish. Ethan, my big brother, the golden boy who'd always played the protector while picking my pockets clean. Growing up in the shadow of Chicago's South Side, we were survivors, mom dead from the bottle, dad vanished into the wind after a botched heist. I clawed my way to a degree in finance at DePaul, dreaming of legitimacy, while Ethan dove headfirst into the family trade, skimming off the top of the outfit's operations, that old-school mob remnant still pulling strings in the meatpacking district. He swore he'd keep me clean, funnel clean money into our joint account to build something real, a nest egg for the day we'd both fail. But clean money? That's a fairy tale in this town. The hook that snagged me was the call from the bank. 3 weeks ago. MS. Kylie Harlan, your account balance is negative $1.2 million. I laughed at first, had to, because the alternative was screaming. That wasn't savings. It was the slush fund I'd inherited from Dad's old crew, laundered through a dozen shell companies. But I'd been turning it legit, bit by bit. Federal investigators had been circling for months, whispering about it being evidence in a RICO case against the syndicates. I'd hidden it in plain sight, rebranded as a savings account for our future, a house in the suburbs, maybe kids who wouldn't know the taste of eviction notices. Ethan knew. Of course he did. He'd been the one signing the transfers, backdating them to look like my doing. I drove to his penthouse in the Loop that night, the L train rattling overhead like bones in a grave. Ethan answered the door in a silk robe, scotch in hand, his trophy wife, Lila, the bleach-blonde climber, lounging on the leather sectional like she owned the view of Lake Michigan. Kylie, baby sis, what's with the face? You look like you swallowed a lemon. His grin was all teeth, the kind that sealed deals in smoke-filled backrooms. I slapped the bank statement on his marble counter. This. You drained it all. For what? Another yacht? More bribes to the alderman? He didn't flinch. Just swirled his glass, ice clinking like handcuffs. Business? Kai. You wouldn't understand. That pot, it was ours. Yeah, but times are tough. The feds are squeezing, and I've got mouths to feed. Mouths like his bookies, his mistresses, his campaign slush for that city council run he was gunning for. Lila tittered from the couch, filing her nails. Tell her about the real score. Ethan. She's family. He shot her a look that could curdle milk, but it was too late. The secret spilled. He'd funneled every cent into a dummy corp tied to a federal sting. Unwittingly, I'd been the fall guy. The account wasn't just savings, it was frozen assets, evidence in a massive fraud probe. The feds had marked it months ago, using me as bait because Dad's old logs named me executor. Ethan had known, played me like a mark, and now the wolves were at my door, IRS audits, subpoenas stacking like indictments. I stormed out, rain slicking the streets, my heels clicking fury on the pavement. That's when the desperation hit. In the underbelly of Pilsen, where murals weep color onto brick, I found the old woman in the Botanica shop. Tia Rosa, they called her, with eyes like polished obsidian and shelves groaning under saints and spells. "You want justice?" she rasped, her accent thick as tamales. "Or revenge? They taste the same, but one leaves you whole." I begged for the latter, shoving crumpled bills across the counter. She brewed something foul, wormwood and whispers, and made me swear on blood. The swap is a mirror.
Mia.
Live his life. Feel his sins. But break it wrong, and you're lost forever. Dawn broke with a scream that wasn't mine. I bolted upright in silk sheets that smelled of cologne and deceit. His hands, pawing at a chest broader than my own. The mirror confirmed it. Ethan's face, stubbled and sharp, staring back in horror. My body, Kylie's slight frame, my wild auburn curls, was gone, swapped into whatever hell he'd woken to. Panic clawed, but so did opportunity. His phone buzzed, a text from Councilman Ruiz, meeting at 9. "Bring the docs. We're flipping the script on the feds." I was in.
Deep in.
The first hours were a blur of adaptation. His walk was heavier, commanding the elevator like it owed him rent. In the garage, his black Escalade purred to life, key fob heavy in my palm. I drove to his office in the financial district, a glass tower that screamed untouchable, heart pounding as I flashed his ID at security. "Mr. Harlan, rough night," the guard chuckled. I grunted his voice, a baritone rumble, and pushed past, stomach twisting at the ease of it. Power like this? It was intoxicating, a drug I'd only glimpsed from the sidelines. Settling into his corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Chicago River like a serpent, I rifled drawers. Secrets spilled, ledgers and code. Burner phones stacked like poker chips. Photos of me, Kylie, marked with red X's, labeled loose end. The betrayal cut deeper. He'd framed me not just for the money, but to cover his climb. That council seat? It was bought with blood money, and I was the scapegoat to launder his soul clean. A voicemail from the feds. "Mr. Harlan, we need to talk about your sister's accounts. This could go easy. Or not." He was playing both sides, feeding them crumbs about me while hoarding the feast. By noon, I'd scheduled a meeting with Lila. She sauntered in, all legs and Louboutins, perched on his desk like a predator scenting weakness. "Ethan, darling, you look
Off.
hungover." I leaned back, forcing his lazy smile.
Nah.
"Just thinking about family." "Kylie," she's been asking questions. Lila's eyes narrowed, calculating. "That bitch. If she talks, we're done. You handle it, or I will." Her hand trailed his thigh, but I recoiled inside. This was the web, Ethan the spider, Lila the silk, and me the fly they'd swatted at for years. I played along, nodding as she outlined the next play: drain a secondary account, pin it on a rival crew. But my mind raced ahead. Revenge wasn't a bonfire, it was a slow burn. First, I needed proof. Hacking his computer. Thank God for those late-night cybersecurity courses. I uncovered the motherlode. Emails to a fixer named Marco. Blueprints for the fraud. Even a hit list with my name circled. The crime I'd borne? It wasn't just financial. Dad's old bust, the one that landed me on probation as a teen, had been Ethan's setup. He'd planted the dope in my locker to dodge his own heat. Years of my life derailed for his ascent. As the sun dipped, casting the city in bruised purples, I made my first controversial call. I wired $50,000 from his slush fund to Tia Rosa, an insurance policy for the swap's reversal. Then, I texted the feds from a ghost account. Harlan's dirty. Check the evidence vault. Signed, a friend. Anonymous tip, but laced with specifics only an insider knew. It was betrayal turned inward. A knife I twisted with glee. Ethan, in my body, would be flailing, my tiny apartment, my dead-end job at the bank, the subpoenas piling up. Let him taste the cage. Night fell, and the tension coiled like Lake Michigan fog. I met Ruiz in a dimly lit steakhouse off Michigan Avenue, the air thick with cigar smoke and whispers. The councilman, paunchy and pockmarked, slid into the booth, his handshake clammy. Ethan,
My boy.
the feds are biting. Your sister's the key, Flipper. And we're golden. I sipped bourbon, his poison of choice, masking revulsion. Consider it done. But I want assurances. That development deal in Bronzeville, it's mine. Lies on lies. Each one a thread pulling him tighter. He bought it, toasting with greasy fingers. But as we talked, my phone vibrated. A call from Kylie, me, trapped in Ethan's shell.
No. Him and mine.
I let it ring, savoring the power shift. Later, in the penthouse, Lila waited, wine glass in hand. Did you take care of her? She purred. I pulled her close, his body moving on autopilot, and whispered, soon. But in the bedroom, as she undressed, I slipped a bug into her purse. Every secret, recorded. Days blurred into a fever dream. Posing as Ethan, I navigated his empire. Lunches with mobbed-up contractors. Late nights forging docs in the home office. Each step was a minefield, his habits, his tics, the way he barked at assistants. I overcompensated, barking too loud, drawing side eyes. Boss seems edgy, his driver muttered one morning, weaving through rush hour snarl. Edgy? I was a live wire. Sparks flying at every reminder of the swap's cost. Sleep evaded me. In dreams, I saw my real face, pleading from the other side. The betrayal's rot spread. I dug deeper, uncovering the hidden secret. Lila wasn't just arm candy. She was the architect, a former SEC analyst turned grifter, who'd seduced Ethan to access the accounts. Together, they'd buried evidence of a Ponzi scheme that had fleeced pension funds, widows and orphans, the American dream's underbelly. And me, I'd signed the incorporation papers years ago. Blind trust in family. The crime I bore was identity theft on a cosmic scale. They'd used my SSN to mask transactions, leaving me the paper trail when the feds came knocking. Controversy brewed in my decisions. One night, cornered by Marco the Fixer in a loop alley, rain hammering like judgment, I had him dead to rights. Gun from Ethan's drawer pressed to his gut. Talk, or I paint the bricks. He spilled. Ethan's plan to vanish me? Stage a suicide to tie off loose ends. I could have pulled the trigger, revenge pure and hot, but I didn't. Instead, I let him run, planting a tracker. Mercy or calculation? It haunted me. That gray line. The kind that makes good people monsters in this city. The climax built like a storm front rolling off the lake. I'd amassed the evidence. Drives full of ledgers. Recordings of Ruiz's bribes. Lila's confessions mid-tryst. The feds were closing in, their shadows lengthening. Ethan in my body had gone radio silent, probably holed up, unraveling. I imagined him, my delicate hands fumbling his deals, my voice cracking in boardrooms. Poetic? Almost. It peaked at the gala, black tie affair at the Art Institute, where Ethan's crowd preened amid marble lions. I arrived in his tux, Lila on my arm, her smile a razor. Ruiz cornered us by the Monet, breath sour with champagne. The vote's tomorrow. Your sister's name on the indictments, make it stick. I nodded, slipping away to the balcony, wind whipping the skyline.
There.
I initiated the drop, USB to a Fed tailing the party,
Disguised as a valet.
It's all here. Harlan's the kingpin. A chaos erupted like fireworks gone wrong. Sirens wailed blocks away. But inside, the bust hit like thunder. Feds swarmed, cuffing Ruiz mid-toast. Lila shrieking as agents pinned her sequins to the floor. I watched from the shadows, Ethan's face a mask of feigned shock. But the twist, the reversal that gutted me, came via text. From Tia Rosa. The mirror cracks.
Mia. He knew the spell.
Planned it from the start. Ethan had sought her out first, months ago, begging the swap to dodge the heat. He'd framed me doubly, not just the accounts, but the ritual itself. Dosing my drink that night to ensure I'd take the fall in his body while he played innocent in mine. The evidence account? It was bait he set. Millions in frozen assets he'd reclaim post-swap, pinning the drain on Kylie forever. I was the patsy, twice over, body and soul. Rage boiled. But the feds dragged me, Ethan in my skin, through the doors, cameras flashing like vultures. He played it perfect, tears streaming down my cheeks, sobbing innocence. The crowd murmured, poor girl, caught in her brother's web. I stood frozen, his body a prison, as they loaded him into the van. The truth inverted. I, the avenger, now the villain in his husk, facing charges for crimes neither of us committed alone. In the aftermath, holed up in the penthouse as dawn bled gray, I confronted the end. Tia Rosa's voice echoed, reversal at midnight. But at what cost? Call the cops on myself? Flee to some border town? Ethan's millions my only friend? Or embrace it, run for that council seat, twist the knife eternal? I chose the debatable path. A confession, anonymous, emailed to the Trib. The Harlan swap, brother framed sister. But who's the real monster? It hit the wires by breakfast, sparking debates from WGN panels to Twitter storms, vigilante justice or family feud gone nuclear. Ethan rotted in Cook County, my body his cage, while I slipped the noose. Tia's brew reversing the spell under a harvest moon. Back in my skin, scars and all, I walked the south side streets, the city's pulse syncing with mine. The account? Seized. But a sliver laundered clean, enough for a fresh start in Milwaukee. Away from the ghosts. Happy? Tragic? You tell me. In America, revenge is just another hustle. And the house always wins a piece. The reversal left echoes, like bruises under the skin that no mirror could catch. 3 months post-swap. I was Kylie again, hair chopped short, a new tattoo snaking my wrist, a serpent eating its tail. A reminder of the cycle I'd barely escaped. But freedom tasted like ash in Chicago's endless winter. Wind off the lake slicing through my thrift store coat as I job hunted in Wicker Park cafes. The Trib expose had painted me as the tragic whistleblower, Ethan's victim. But the feds weren't done. Subpoenas still nipped at my heels. Whispers of perjury if I didn't clarify my role in the fraud. Role? I'd borne it all. Scapegoat supreme. While Ethan lawyered up from his cell, spinning tales of my instability. Lila's trial was the real circus. Broadcast live from the Dirksen courthouse. I watched on a bar TV in Logan Square, nursing a Jameson that burned less than the memories. She took the stand in Chanel, all Ice Queen poise. Denying everything, Ethan was the mastermind. Kylie? She envied us. Fabricated the swap nonsense for sympathy. The jury ate it up, white-collar types who saw her as the damsel, me as the jealous hag. But I'd planted seeds, anonymous leaks to prosecutors. Audio clips of her laughing over culling the herd of investors. When the verdict dropped, guilty on all counts. 20 years, she locked eyes with the camera, mouthing you'll pay. Power like hers didn't fade. It fermented. Ethan's hearing was quieter. A plea deal in the shadows. I crashed it, slipping past reporters in a borrowed pantsuit, heart hammering as I took a back row seat. He looked small in my old body, curls limp, my freckles sallow under fluorescent buzz. The judge, a grizzled vet named Kowalski. Drone charges, wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. Mr. Harlan, or should I say, is Harlan in absentia. Your sister's testimony could sway this. Testimony? I dodged that bullet. But his lawyer pivoted. Your Honor, the defendant was coerced. Mental duress from familial abuse. Abused? The word twisted like a shank. Flashbacks hit. Him holding me down as a kid. Forcing lessons, in line to cops after Dad's crew torched a rival's warehouse. I bolted before the gavel fell. But not before slipping a note to his counsel. Ask him about the real swap. Tia Rosa has receipts. Petty? Maybe. But revenge is a marathon. And I was lapping him now. Back in my walk-up, peeling wallpaper, radiator hissing like accusations, I plotted the next move. The millions? The feds auctioned the evidence accounts remnants. But I'd skimmed a digital ghost, crypto wallets Ethan forgot, buried in his server farms. $800,000. Untraceable. Enough to fund the long game. Spring thawed the city, dogwoods blooming defiant along the drive. I relocated to a studio in Ukrainian village, blending into the pierogi-scented bustle. New name, Kayla Hart. Freelance consultant, new life. Auditing books for mom and pops, wary of IRS heat. But the antagonist lingered. A specter in pinstripes. Ethan's network was vast, aldermen in his pocket, unions greased. Even a rogue cop named O'Malley who'd buried reports on the Ponzi victims. One evening, as I walked home from the Blue Line, a sedan idled at the curb, tinted windows, engine purring threat. It followed for blocks, until I ducked into a taqueria, heart in throat. Paranoia? Or prelude? The controversial decision came unbidden. Over diner coffee at 2 a.m. A contact from the old days, Rico, a hacker kid I'd mentored, pinged me, your bro's cutting deals. Naming names. Yours included. Rage flared. But so did opportunity. I could have vanished, started over in Seattle with rain instead of rust. Instead, I greenlit the hack, breach Ethan's prison comms, feed him false leads, make him chase ghosts, erode his sanity from afar. Was it justice or torment? The line blurred. Ethics a luxury for folks without rap sheets. Summer sweltered. Humidity thick as lies. I infiltrated his world deeper, posing as a journalist for a podunk blog, the Windy City Wire. Credential faked with Rico's wizardry. I scored an interview with O'Malley at a rib joint in Bridgeport. The cop, ruddy-cheeked and retired, chewed ribs like grudges. Harlan, smart cookie. That one. But family, blood's thicker than the law. I probed gentle, heard rumors of a body switch. Urban legend. O'Malley barked a laugh. Sauce on his tie. Kid stuff. But yeah, Ethan's always been two-faced. Blamed his sis for everything, even when it was him planting the seeds.
Seeds.
That word unearthed the buried secret. The crime I'd shouldered wasn't just Dad's bust. As teens, Ethan had torched a competitor's warehouse, insurance scam, but pinned the arson on me, bribing a witness to swear I was seen fleeing. I did time in juvie, 18 months of cold bunks and worse, emerging with a record that killed scholarships,
Jobs.
dreams. He'd whispered apologies then, bought me a leather jacket with blood money. Forgiveness? I'd swallowed it like bad whiskey. The tension peaked at the parole board hearing, leaked to me via a bribed guard. I couldn't resist, drove down to Stateville under cover of dusk, the prison's razor wire glinting like malice. In the visitor's room, plexiglass and despair, Ethan shuffled in, my face gaunt, eyes hollow. Kylie, he rasped, voice cracking in my timbre. You came. I pressed the intercom.
Stealing.
Not for tea.
Ethan.
For the truth. He leaned in, breath fogging the divider. I did it for us. The account, that was our ticket out. You were too soft. Always playing straight. I had to protect the family.
Protect?
I laughed. Bitter. By framing me? The fire. The fraud. Now, this swap bullshit? You dose me. You bastard. His eyes, my eyes, widened, feigning shock. Swap? That's your delusion.
Sis.
The meds they got you on. Gaslighting.
Vintage Ethan.
But I had the ace, a recording from Tia Rosa. Her voice tinny over the line. He came to me first.
Mia.
Paid double for the double cross. Ethan's mask slipped, fury flashing. You think you're free? I own pieces of you forever. That crypto?
Traced.
One call to the feds. Threat hung. But so did my counter. Make the call. See whose story sticks now. The board denied parole. My anonymous tip on his instability sealed it. Driving back. Highways blurring. I wrestled the wheel of morality. I'd rigged the game. But at what sole cost? Victims of the Ponzi, retirees evicted, kids' college funds vaporized, hailed me online as hero. Others branded me enabler, profiting from poison. Controversy swirled. Petitions for Ethan's release clashing with justice for Kylie rallies. Fall leaves carpeted the parks in crimson regret. Lila, from her federal pen in Terre Haute, smuggled letters via mules. We're not done. Little sister. Ethan's your mirror, crack him. Crack yourself. I burned them in the sink. But the words lingered. The power dynamic shifted again when Rico uncovered the final secret. The account's millions weren't just evidence. They'd funded a black market op, organ trafficking, whispers of clinics in Gary harvesting desperate migrants. Ethan hadn't just stolen money, he'd peddled lives. And I'd signed the LLC that masked it, blind to the horror. Climax brewed in November chill. A whistleblower summit at the Palmer House. Irony thick as fog. I spoke on a panel. Voice steady. Betrayal starts small. A shared dream turns to chains. Applause thundered. But backstage, O'Malley's ghost appeared, not retired, but leveraged. Harlan sends regards. Drop the act, or the trafficking logs surface with your name. The antagonist's reach. Endless. I fled to the rooftop bar. City lights a glittering trap. There. Decision time. Jump into oblivion. Or fight dirty. Controversial as hell. I chose the latter. Wired the logs to every major outlet. Redacted my name. Unredacted his. Chicago's elite. From fraud to flesh trade. The story exploded. Ethan's empire crumbling from Supermax. But the twist reversed again. Sharper than before. In the fallout, feds raided my studio, O'Malley's tip, planting doubts. Emmis. Harlan, we have questions about your involvement. Interrogation room, coffee stale, cuffs cold. They played tapes, not mine, but deep fakes. My voice confessing complicity. Ethan, even caged, puppeteered the strings. Hours blurred into negotiation. Immunity for full disclosure. The swap. The secrets. The sins. I spilled. Voice raw. Buying time. Dawn broke as they released me. A deal struck. Witness protection. New life in witness limbo. Witness protection was a half-life. Plunked in a nondescript suburb outside Denver. Row houses like Monopoly pieces. Minivans humming domesticity. Kylie Harlan faded to Elena Vesquez, barista at a strip mall Starbucks. Slinging lattes to soccer moms who eyed my accent like it was suspect. The feds called it safety, I called it exile. The swap's final scar. No more Chicago pulse. Just Rockies looming judgmental. Snow dusting the peaks like forgotten cocaine. Ethan's trial loomed via CNN feeds, gavel to gavel. His face, mine. Once, twisted in denial. My sister orchestrated it all, he'd testify. Voice my soprano. The irony? It almost worked. Months in, the tension simmered low. A pot left too long. I dated a park ranger, Mark. All flannel and folksy charm, nights hiking trails where pines whispered absolution. You're running from something, he'd say, hands calloused on my waist. I'd nod, silent, because some secrets are landmines. But power corrupts. Even in anonymity, that crypto stash? It funded a slush of my own, off-books donations to Ponzi victims. Anonymous checks slipping through cracks. Good deeds? Or laundering guilt? The antagonist evolved. Hydra-headed. Lila. Paroled early on health grounds. Cancer. Real or ruse? Surfaced in tabloids. Penning a memoir. Betrayed by blood. A woman's fight against the Harlan curse. Bestseller bait. Ghosted by some hack. Painting her saint. Me serpent. Excerpts dripped venom. Kylie's jealousy birthed the swap myth. A desperate bid to steal Ethan's throne. Fans lapped it. Book tours in the loop drawing crowds who'd once cheered my heroism. Controversy reignited. Podcast debating. Victim or vixen. The true Harlan saga. Ethan's appeals dragged, each filing a barb. From his cell, he smuggled comics to inmates, crude sketches of me as witch. Swap spell his salvation. One landed in my P.O. box. Forwarded by feds. See you soon.
Sis.
The mirror waits. Chills. Not fear, fury refined. I'd borne his crimes. juvie for arson, audits for fraud. Now this spectral haunting. The hidden secret? Tia Rosa's final revelation. Whispered pre-relocation. The spell wasn't one way.
Mia.
His soul clings. A tether.
Cut it.
Or drag him with you. Winter gripped Colorado. Blizzards burying the world white. Mark proposed over eggnog, rings simple. Silver, but I demurred. Ghosts too loud. Instead, I reached out, hired a fixer, outfit, to infiltrate Stateville. Costly, but the long game demanded it. Reports trickled, Ethan unhinged, ranting to shrinks about body thieves. My face cracking under strain. Poetic payback, but hollow. The controversial pivot hit in March. Cherry blossoms mocking from Boulder Flats. A Fed contact, Agent Torres, the one who'd cut my deal, called. Harlan's flipping. Naming you in the trafficking ring. Says you greenlit the clinics.
Lie.
Engineered deepfake. But potent. My protection shattered. Relocation loomed. Identity scrubbed again. Rage crested. Why run? Why not end it? I flew back under alias. Economy's seat a cage. Landing in O'Hare's familiar reek. The city welcomed like an ex, horns blaring. Pizza grease in the air. Rented a beater. Drove south to Stateville under cover of night. Fog off the desk, planes cloaking the wheel. Bribery greased visitation. Teresa Voss, fake ID holding. In the booth, Ethan appeared. Frylier. My curls graying premature. Kylie, he breathed. Recognition dawning. You came home. Home, the word curdled. To finish it, I slid a vial under the partition. Harmless. Tia's brew reversed. Odorless.
Drink.
And the tether. His eyes gleamed. Cunning unbroken. Or what? You poison me in your skin? That's the real crime. Sis. We talked then. Raw. Betrayals catalogued like indictments. He admitted the fire. The frame. The account drain. I built empires. You built excuses. But the twist reversed once more. Shattering illusions. The millions? Not mine. Dad's go stop. Feds planted it to bait us both. I drained it to save you from the sting. Lies? Truth? His laugh cackled. Mine once. We were pawns. Kylie. The real villain? The system that pits siblings like rats. I recoiled. But doubt wormed in. Had I avenged phantoms? The Fed's deepfakes. Lila's smears. Symptoms of a bigger rot? Climax crashed in the parking lot. Post-visit. O'Malley waited. Badge tarnished. Flanked by goons in unmarked SUVs. Harlan sends love. Time to tie loose ends. Gun drawn. Range sheeting biblical. I bolted. Beater roaring to life. Chase weaving interstates, lights flashing. Sirens a banshee wail. Controversial choice. I didn't flee. Swerved into a rest stop. Confronted them amid sodium lamps. Shoot me, and the full logs drop. Trafficking, bribes, everything. Standoff stretched. Minutes eternal. Until Torres arrived back up, tipped by my planted bug. O'Malley cuffed. Empire's last domino. Ethan. Dosed unwitting. Confessed pre-dawn. Full complicity. No mentions of me. The tether snapped. His rants deemed delusion. Sentence maxed. Back in Denver, Elena again, the ending debated itself. Mark waited. Ring reoffered, I accepted. Wedding small. Mountains witnesses. The account's remnants? Donated clean. Foundations for fraud victims. Happy? In sunrises over foothills. Yes, love a quiet revenge. But by Kitsch whispers, Ethan's suicide note. Smuggled out. Read forgive me. Or join me. I burned it. But the question lingers. Did I free us? Or just swap chains? America's dark heart beats on. Betrayals echo. Secrets grave. You decide the moral. Redemption scam. Or revenge's grace. In this land of second chances. Both ring true. And neither satisfies.